Imagine a world where entire kingdoms rise and fall by the power of dragons, where a single family shapes the destiny of an entire continent. In today's video, we're diving deep into how Aegon Targaryen, along with his sisters and their dragons, forever changed the course of Westeros. If you've ever wondered how House Targaryen ascended to the top, or what really went down during Aegon's conquest, then this is the video you can't afford to miss. You'll uncover the secrets behind the strategies that secured Aegon's victory and understand how these events still resonate in the tales of A Song of Ice and Fire. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper insight into the Targaryen rise and be better equipped to discuss Westeros' rich history with any Game of Thrones fan. If you're tired of missing out on crucial details in the vast world of Westeros, this video is for you. Stick with me, and let's explore how Aegon paved the way to the Iron Throne. The Targaryen dynasty's story begins long before their arrival in Westeros, deep in the heart of Valyria, a civilization unmatched in its mastery of dragons and sorcery. As fate would have it, the Targaryens were one of the few Valyrian families to survive the Doom, a cataclysmic event that wiped out nearly all their kin. They escaped to Dragonstone, an isolated island fortress, where they bided their time. This escape was no mere coincidence. It was said that Daenerys the Dreamer, an ancestor of Aegon, foresaw the Doom, prompting their timely departure. This move, driven by prophecy, would eventually set the stage for their dominance over Westeros, as Aegon Targaryen, armed with dragons, took the first steps toward conquest. Settling on Dragonstone, the Targaryens did not immediately pursue grand ambitions of conquest. Instead, they waited, honing their skills and preparing for the moment when they could make their mark. Aegon, along with his sister wives Visenya and Rhaenys, understood the power they wielded with their dragons, Valyrian, Vhagar, and Meraxes. But it wasn't just brute strength that led to Aegon's decision to invade Westeros. It was a diplomatic sleight that spurred him into action, an insult from the ruling powers of Westeros that Aegon could not ignore. This event, combined with the strategic advantage offered by their dragons, compelled Aegon to embark on what would become one of the most significant military campaigns in the history of Westeros. Aegon's conquest was not just about expanding territory, it was about establishing a legacy. The Targaryens, with their roots in the mighty Valyrian freehold, sought to create a new order in Westeros, one where their bloodline would reign supreme. Aegon's decision to land on the mainland and declare himself king was the culmination of years of planning, driven by both a sense of destiny and the practical reality of their unmatched power. With Dragonstone as his base, Aegon meticulously planned his campaign, knowing that failure was not an option. The success of the Targaryen dynasty hinged on this bold move, and Aegon was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. When Aegon Targaryen set his sights on Westeros, he didn't just charge in blindly. He acted with a mind sharpened by years of calculated planning. His first move was to land at the Blackwater Rush, a location that wasn't chosen at random but with precise intent. Situated near the mouth of the Blackwater River, it gave Aegon a strategic foothold that would allow him to split his forces efficiently. Each division was sent to capture crucial territories, showcasing not just his ambition but his deep understanding of Westerosi geography and politics. As his forces fanned out across the land, Aegon's most potent weapon wasn't just his army but the dragons he commanded. The sight of Balerion, Vhagar, and Meraxes soaring above was enough to send shivers down the spine of even the bravest warriors. It was a psychological warfare that crippled the morale of those who dared to oppose him. The flames they unleashed weren't just tools of destruction but symbols of Aegon's unstoppable might, a clear message to the lords of Westeros: submit or face the wrath of the dragon. But Aegon's strategy was more than just brute force. It was a masterclass in leadership and adaptability. By securing key locations and quickly establishing control over vital resources, he ensured that his enemies were always on the back foot. Each victory was a building block, laying the foundation for what would become the Targaryen dynasty. The fear he instilled wasn't just about his dragons. It was about the sharp, unyielding mind that wielded them with such devastating effect. The conquest of Westeros wasn't without bloodshed, and among the most significant clashes was the Battle of the Field of Fire. This confrontation was a turning point, where Aegon faced the combined forces of House Lannister and House Gardner. But what made this battle truly legendary was the deployment of his dragons. As Balerion, Vhagar, and Meraxes unleashed their fiery wrath, the battlefield was transformed into an inferno. Thousands perished in the flames, and the might of two great houses was shattered in a single, devastating blow. This battle didn't just mark a victory, it signified the beginning of a new era where the power of dragons could shape the fate of kingdoms. However, not all of Aegon's victories were won through fire and blood. His approach to the north, ruled by House Stark, was a masterclass in diplomacy. Instead of force, Aegon opted for negotiation, meeting with Torrhen Stark, the king in the north. Understanding the futility of resistance against such overwhelming power, Torrhen bent the knee, earning his house the title of Warden of the North and preserving his people from the horrors of war. This decision wasn't just wise, it was a testament to Aegon's ability to wield both the sword and the olive branch with equal skill. The aftermath of these battles set the tone for Aegon's rule. The destruction of the Gardner line paved the way for the rise of House Tyrell, while the submission of the North solidified the unity of the realm under Targaryen rule. Aegon's conquest was a blend of relentless military strategy and shrewd political maneuvering, and these notable battles were the crucible in which the Seven Kingdoms were forged into a unified realm. As one victory led to another, Aegon's legend grew, and with it, the foundations of his dynasty were firmly established. While Aegon Targaryen's conquest of Westeros was largely successful, there was one region that refused to bow to the dragon, Dorne. The Dornish, known for their fierce independence and cunning, resisted Aegon's attempts to bring them under his rule. Unlike the other kingdoms that fell to the might of the Targaryen dragons, the Dornish employed guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and retreating into the harsh, unforgiving landscape of their homeland. This resistance proved a thorn in Aegon's side, as his dragons, Balerion, Vhagar, and Meraxes, were powerful in open battle but struggled against an enemy that refused to engage in traditional warfare. The campaign against Dorne was costly and frustrating for Aegon. His sister-wife Rhaenys, who rode the dragon Meraxes, led several attempts to subdue the region but met with fierce opposition. The Dornish strategy of avoiding direct confrontation and instead using hit-and-run tactics, combined with their knowledge of the terrain, made it nearly impossible for the Targaryens to maintain control. Even when the Targaryens managed to take hold of a Dornish stronghold, the victory was often short-lived, as the Dornish would simply abandon the fortress and continue their fight from elsewhere. This unyielding resistance eventually led to tragedy when Rhaenys and Meraxes were struck down by a scorpion bolt in the Battle of Hellholt, a devastating blow that further embittered Aegon. In the end, Aegon was forced to recognize that Dorne would not be conquered in the same way as the other kingdoms. Instead of continuing a fruitless and bloody campaign, he made the pragmatic decision to allow Dorne its independence, a significant exception to his otherwise unbroken string of victories. This decision, while a concession, was also a reflection of Aegon's understanding that true power lies not only in force but in the wisdom to know when to relent. The Dornish resistance left a lasting mark on the history of Westeros, serving as a reminder that even the mightiest conquerors have their limits. Aegon's conquest of Westeros was not solely defined by his victories on the battlefield. It was also marked by his keen sense of diplomacy and the rewards he bestowed upon those who aligned with his cause. After the fall of the Gardeners at the Field of Fire, Aegon rewarded House Tyrell with control of the Reach, establishing them as Wardens of the South. This was a strategic move that ensured loyalty from one of the most fertile and populous regions of Westeros. Similarly, Orys Baratheon, Aegon's loyal companion and rumored half-brother, was granted Storm's End after defeating the last Storm King, solidifying Baratheon power in the Stormlands. These actions weren't just rewards, they were calculated decisions that strengthened Aegon's hold on the realm. The submission of House Lannister following the fiery destruction at the Field of Fire showcased Aegon's ability to turn former enemies into allies. With the Lannisters bending the knee, the wealth and influence of the Westerlands were now at his disposal, further consolidating his control. However, Aegon's diplomatic acumen shone brightest in the Vale of Arryn, where instead of forcing a bloody confrontation, he chose a peaceful negotiation. The young ruler of the Vale, Queen Regent Shara Arryn, recognized the futility of resistance and submitted to Aegon, allowing the region to join the newly formed Seven Kingdoms without a drop of blood being spilled. This peaceful surrender exemplified Aegon's preference for diplomacy over unnecessary violence when possible. Aegon's combination of conquest and diplomacy not only expanded his rule but also set a precedent for how the Targaryens would govern the realm. By rewarding loyalty and wisely choosing when to negotiate rather than fight, Aegon secured the stability of his new kingdom. His ability to wield both the sword and the pen made him a formidable ruler, and his actions during this period laid the groundwork for the long-lasting Targaryen dynasty. As his influence spread across Westeros, Aegon's reign began to take shape, yet not all regions were eager to accept his rule. While Aegon Targaryen's conquest of Westeros was largely successful, there was one region that refused to bow to the dragon, Dorne. The Dornish, known for their fierce independence and cunning, resisted Aegon's attempts to bring them under his rule. Unlike the other kingdoms that fell to the might of the Targaryen dragons, the Dornish employed guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and retreating into the harsh, unforgiving landscape of their homeland. This resistance proved a thorn in Aegon's side, as his dragons, Valyrian, Vhagar, and Meraxes, were powerful in open battle but struggled against an enemy that refused to engage in traditional warfare. The campaign against Dorne was costly and frustrating for Aegon. His sister-wife Rhaenys, who rode the dragon Meraxes, led several attempts to subdue the region but met with fierce opposition. The Dornish strategy of avoiding direct confrontation and instead using hit-and-run tactics, combined with their knowledge of the terrain, made it nearly impossible for the Targaryens to maintain control. Even when the Targaryens managed to take hold of a Dornish stronghold, the victory was often short-lived, as the Dornish would simply abandon the fortress and continue their fight from elsewhere. This unyielding resistance eventually led to tragedy when Rhaenys and Meraxes were struck down by a scorpion bolt in the Battle of Helholt, a devastating blow that further embittered Aegon. In the end, Aegon was forced to recognize that Dorne would not be conquered in the same way as the other kingdoms. Instead of continuing a fruitless and bloody campaign, he made the pragmatic decision to allow Dorne its independence, a significant exception to his otherwise unbroken string of victories. This decision, while a concession, was also a reflection of Aegon's understanding that true power lies not only in force but in the wisdom to know when to relent. The Dornish resistance left a lasting mark on the history of Westeros, serving as a reminder that even the mightiest conquerors have their limits. So, what can we learn from Aegon's conquest of Westeros? It's more than just a story of dragons and battles. It's a lesson in the art of strategy, the power of alliances, and the importance of knowing when to wield power and when to show restraint. But here's the real question: how will you apply these insights? Whether it's in your own ambitions, your personal projects, or even in understanding the complex dynamics of power in your daily life, Aegon's journey offers a blueprint for success. But don't just take this knowledge and keep it to yourself. Share it, discuss it, and let it inspire you to conquer your own challenges. What's your next move going to be? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Together, we'll continue exploring the deep, dark corners of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and beyond. Your journey into the world of A Song of Ice and Fire is just beginning.